Hi everyone, this is Reema, your biology educator from V-Learning. So as you know that V-Learning is an online educational platform where we provide quality education for all. So to get all the benefits from our channel, do subscribe to it, and also don't forget to visit to our website, that is www.v-learning.in, where you will be getting all the pre-recorded videos, the live classes, the animated videos, and also the PDF notes of all these lessons. So let's begin today's class. So you remember in our last class, we have started with your chapter number 17, that is breathing and exchange of gases, right? So where you have learned about the human respiratory system, that is you have learned about the function of the lungs, right? And what are the various parts involved in the lungs, that is the respiratory system. And also you have seen the mechanism of breathing, that is the inhalation and exhalation, isn't it? So in today's class, what you are going to learn? In today's class, you are going to learn about the exchange of gases. Okay, exchange of gases. So where does the exchange of gases takes place? Mainly the exchange of gases, it takes place in the alveoli of the lungs. Okay, in the alveoli of the lungs, that is exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. It takes place into the alveoli of the lungs. But exchange of gases also takes in the blood. Okay, exchange of gases also takes place in the blood. Okay, so that it can be transported to various tissues. Okay, various cells in our body. Every cells in our body, it needs what? It needs oxygen, isn't it? So you will be learning about the exchange of that is the exchange of gases, and how the transportation of the oxygen, transportation of the carbon dioxide is taking place through the blood. And also you will learn that how our respiration is being controlled, who is responsible for control of our respiration and various respiratory diseases. So let's begin today's session, and this is your lecture number 2. So see, first, exchange of gases. So as you know that exchange of gases, where does it take exchange of gases? Mostly the exchange of gases, it will take place in the alveoli. Okay, alveoli of the lungs. So alveoli, this is how the alveoli of the lungs look like. Okay, so its structure is like this. Okay, and it is connected with the blood capillaries. Okay, it is connected with the blood capillaries, and here the RBC cells are present. Here the blood cells are present, and the alveoli is lined with the various tissues. Okay, simple squamous tissues. Okay, simple that is squamous epithelial tissue. So it is lined with various tissues. This alveoli is lined with various tissues. Okay, and this is what? This is the blood. This is the blood capillaries. This is blood capillaries. This is the alveoli. Okay, this is alveoli, where exchange of gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide, takes place in the alveoli, and it is connected to the blood capillaries. Okay, so the oxygen rich blood will be coming from the alveoli, and it will go to the various blood capillaries. Okay, it will go to the blood capillaries, and it will be transported to the tissues. Okay, to the body tissues. Okay, so various body tissues also needs what? They need oxygen, isn't it? So it will be transported to the tissues. Is that clear? So mainly the exchange of gases, it takes place in the alveoli and blood. Okay, and blood. Blood is also responsible for the exchange of gases. Now, what gases takes place? That is the oxygen. Okay, so during this process, what happens? The transport also should take place. So the transport of O2 and CO2 is basically done with the help of what? With the help of blood. Okay, with the help of blood. So blood is responsible for the transport of oxygen and for the carbon dioxide in our body. Is that clear? So how it is being done, right? So from the alveoli, okay, from the alveoli, it is being transported with the help of what? With the help of the blood. Okay, with the help of the blood. Next, so see here, yes. So exchange of gases. So alveoli is what? Alveoli is the primary site of exchange of gases. So this alveoli, which you have seen, it is the primary site where the exchange of gases, that is exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. Now, exchange also occur between blood and tissues, okay? So, as you have seen here, between the blood and the tissues also, exchange of gases takes place. So, O2 and CO2 are exchanged in these sites by simple diffusion, mainly based on the concentration gradient. So, how the exchange of gases takes place? The exchange of gases, it depends on what? It depends on diffusion, okay? So, the exchange of gases, it takes place with the help of diffusion, okay? With the help of diffusion. And as you know, what is this diffusion? Diffusion is nothing but the movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration, right? So in case of respiration also, this oxygen and the carbon dioxide, how the gases exchange takes place, it is by the process of diffusion, okay? It is by the process of diffusion. And the diffusion depends upon two things, okay? What are the factors, okay? On which factor the diffusion depends on? The diffusion, it depends on what? It depends on two factors. One is what? One is the factors for diffusion are factors, okay? Factors for diffusion are, one is the permeability of permeability of what? Of membrane, that is plasma membrane, okay? Permeability of membrane. And another is the concentration gradient, okay? So these are the two factors on which the diffusion depends. So as you can see that it depends on the thickness of the membrane and what, and also what, and also the concentration gradient. So this is number one, concentration gradient, and this is number two, that is the thickness of what? Thickness of the plasma membrane, okay? So this is on which the diffusion depends, okay? Respiration takes place by the process of diffusion. So see, what do you mean by this partial pressure, okay? What do you mean by this partial pressure? So see here, this is the alveoli, okay? So here, this is the blood. This is what? This is blood. Now, here also in the atmosphere, okay, in the atmosphere, oxygen will be present, right? Oxygen will be present, right? And yes, so when it comes here, okay, how the transportation takes place, it's because of diffusion. It is because of diffusion, right? So what is this? There is a mixture of gases, okay? So pressure contributed by the individual gases in a mixture of gases is called the partial pressure. So when this atmospheric pressure, it comes and diffuses, okay, there is what? There is a mixture of gases, okay? There creates mixture of gases, right? So because of this mixture of gases, because of the mixture, that is the atmospheric oxygen and the carbon dioxide, okay, atmospheric oxygen and the carbon dioxide has different pressure, right? When it comes inside, okay, it will mix with the oxygen which is present in the blood, because of which pressure will be generated, okay? That is known as what? That pressure is known as partial pressure, okay? So partial pressure of oxygen, partial pressure of O2, okay, is written as PO2. All right, partial pressure of oxygen is written as PO2, whereas the partial pressure of of carbon dioxide is written as PCO2. Clear? Okay, PCO2. So the partial pressure of oxygen is denoted as PO2 and partial pressure of carbon dioxide is denoted as PCO2. Clear? Yes. Partial pressure of these two gases in the atmospheric air and two sides of diffusion. Okay. So the partial pressure of these two gases are there in the atmosphere and also in the site of diffusion, right? Yes. Next, the partial pressure of respiratory gases. So let us see the partial pressure of the various respiratory gases. So what is the partial pressure of the atmospheric rich oxygen? Okay, the partial pressure of the atmospheric oxygen is what it is 159. Okay, the partial pressure of the atmospheric oxygen is what it is 159. Okay, it is 159, right? Next, the partial pressure of atmospheric carbon dioxide. Okay, you have been studying from the lower class. What is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide? It is 0.3, right? It is 0.3 in the atmosphere. The percentage of the carbon dioxide is 0.3. Okay, it is 0.3. Next, then the oxygen which is present in the alveoli. Okay, now what is the percent of oxygen? Okay, oxygen present where? Oxygen in the alveoli, right? So the partial pressure of oxygen in the alveoli is 104 mm Hg. Now, what does it mean? 104 mmHg. Mm is millimeter and Hg is mercury. Okay, millimeter of mercury. Clear? Hg is what? Hg is mercury, right? Next, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide. Okay, carbon dioxide in the alveoli is 40. Okay, you have to remember these values. Okay, so the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is what? 40 mmHg, right? Done. So this is the partial pressure of the oxygen and carbon dioxide in the alveoli. Now let's talk about the deoxygenated blood. Okay, deoxygenated blood and blood that is oxygenated blood and tissues. Okay, three more you have to remember. So what is the partial pressure? What is the partial pressure of the deoxygenated blood? Okay, deoxygenated, do I'm writing, right? Deoxygenated blood. So partial pressure of oxygen in deoxygenated blood is 40. Okay, it is 40. Okay, so it is 40 mm Hg. 40 mm Hg. Clear? Now the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 45. Okay, 45 mm Hg. Okay, mm Hg. Clear? Now, what is the partial pressure of oxygenated blood? Okay, partial pressure of oxygenated blood is PO2 of oxygenated blood is 95 mm Hg. Okay, it is 95, and partial pressure of oxygenated blood is 40. Right? Then again, the it will be tissue will be 40 and it will be 45. So in the tissue, what it is, the partial pressure of oxygen is 40. So you can see here, it goes like this, right? It comes down and it is again like this. So see, right? The movement of molecules is basically from higher concentration to lower concentration, or not from high to low, then from again this is same and again this is high, right? So 40, 40, 40, 40, right? You can remember in this way, okay? So see here it will be high. So it is basically by the process of diffusion, the molecules are being moving, right? That is how the respiration takes place. Now, exchange of gases, okay? Now, what happens in the process of exchange of gases? Now, as you can see in this diagram, that is inspired air, right? Inspired air, that means oxygen rich air, right? Oxygen rich air. And expired air means carbon dioxide rich air, which is being released outside from our lungs, right? So see, this is what this is alveoli. Now during the process of respiration, during the process of circulation, the heart is also involved, right? As you can see that there is circulation, okay, that is the oxygenated blood. There are two types of blood in our body. One is oxygen rich and another one is carbon dioxide rich, right? So oxygen rich blood, our body needs what? Oxygenated blood, okay? Our body needs oxygenated blood, okay? Now, for this, proper circulation takes place, and the important organ which is responsible for the proper circulation is the heart, okay? So, the heart is a double chambered, right? Our heart, that is, our heart has got four chambers, sorry. Our heart has got four chambers and double circulation takes place in the heart, right? One time oxygenated blood is being filtered, another time the deoxygenated blood. And the carbon dioxide rich blood. The carbon dioxide rich blood is called as what? Is called as deoxygenated blood. Is called as deoxygenated blood, right? Yes. So see, what happens in the process of basically this uh, transportation, okay, transportation takes place with the help of blood, okay, transportation takes place with the help of blood, and our blood is rich in both oxygenated blood and both carbon dioxide, that is, it is rich in both oxygen and carbon dioxide, so it should be filtered properly, okay, so it should be filtered properly so that it can be pumped properly in the blood, and our heart is a pumping organ, right? So our heart, it is responsible for the circulation of the blood, okay, and in the lungs, okay, the blood is being purified in the lungs, okay, the carbon dioxide rich blood is being purified in the blood, is being purified in the lungs, right? So see here, the alveoli which is present in the lungs, right, the alveoli which is present in the lungs. So here what happens, the artery, okay, you know that the artery is responsible for what? It is responsible for transferring the oxygenated blood, right? So the artery is responsible for transferring what? Oxygenated blood, whereas this vein, right, the vein is responsible for transferring the deoxygenated blood, okay. Now remember that the pulmonary artery, there is a pulmonary artery which is responsible for transferring the blue color represents the deoxygenated blood, okay. Blue color is representing the carbon dioxide rich blood, okay. So pulmonary artery is responsible for transferring the deoxygenated blood, and pulmonary vein is responsible for transferring the oxygenated blood, okay. So what happens here? Pulmonary artery, what it transfers? The carbon dioxide rich blood, that is the deoxygenated blood, okay. And here pulmonary vein, it transfers the oxygen rich blood. Is that clear? Right? So see, so it is, that is the circulation, how it takes place. So see here, the heart is connected, right? So first let us understand what are the various chambers of the heart. So as you know that our heart is four chambered, right? Our heart has got how many chambers? It has got four chambers. So what are the four chambers? The four chambers of heart are right atrium, right ventricle, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle, right? So the deoxygenated blood, the carbon dioxide rich blood will be entering to the right atrium through the vena cava, okay? Through the vena cava. You will study it in the next chapter, that is body fluids in detail, okay? So through the vena cava, the deoxygenated blood, that is carbon dioxide rich blood, will be entering to this right atrium, okay? Right atrium of the heart. So from here, it will go through the valves. A heart has got various valves, okay? So valves are responsible for passing the blood, okay? So it will go to the right ventricle. Okay, from the right ventricle, now it will be sent to the left atrium. Okay, it will be sent to the left atrium. So here the lung is present. Here what is present? The lung is present, right? The lung is present. Is the spelling? Yes. So here the lung is present, isn't it? So the lung is present. Now this blood, okay, carbon dioxide rich blood, it will be sent to the lung for purification. So in the lung, what happens? The carbon dioxide is removed, okay? The carbon dioxide is being removed and oxygen rich blood is sent to the left ventricle. Oxygen rich blood will be sent to the left ventricle, right? And from the left ventricle through the aorta, it will be transferred to the body tissue, okay? Through the body tissue, right? Yes. So in the diagram, you have seen that there is alveoli, right? This is the alveoli. Next, here you have seen that from the alveoli, these are what? These are connected to, yes, you can see these are connected. These are the blood vessels which are connected. One is bringing what? One is bringing the carbon dioxide rich blood, okay, and one is bringing the oxygen rich blood to the heart. Okay, this is what? This is the heart. Is that clear? Right? So here what happens? Two times a circulation is taking place. One is known as systematic circulation and another is known as pulmonary circulation. Okay, one is known as what? Systematic circulation. So see, this one is known as pulmonary circulation and this one is known as systematic, okay, systematic circulation. Is that clear? So see, now what happens here? So here the blood will be taken out, okay? So the blood will be taken out. From here the blood will be sent to the body tissues, right? To the body tissues, and this here somewhere the body, that is the tissue is present, right? So these are what? These are the various cells, okay? These are the various cells of the tissues, okay? So here this is known as what? The that is oxygen rich blood is carried by what? Oxygen rich blood is carried by the pulmonary, by the pulmonary vein. Okay, oxygen rich blood is being carried by the pulmonary vein, and carbon dioxide rich blood is being carried by what? Is being carried by the pulmonary artery. Okay, it's been carried by pulmonary artery. So this is alveoli. So here the oxygen rich blood is coming out, right? So it comes out and it goes here, right? So here the carbon dioxide is exhaled outside, so it will go to the heart, right? It will go to the heart, right? From here what happens? This is the systemic vein. Okay, this is one. This is the systemic vein. This is systemic vein, and this is what? This is systemic artery. This is systemic artery. Okay, now the oxygenated blood, it will come here and it will go to the body tissues. Okay, and again the carbon dioxide which will be released by the body, it will go through the, that is through the veins, right? The veins will carry the carbon dioxide rich blood. Okay, so these are what? The blue color is the carbon dioxide rich blood, okay, which is being, yes, which is being carried by the vein. Is that clear? Which is being carried by the vein again back to the heart. And these are what? The red one. The red one is the oxygen rich blood, which is being carried, by the by the by the blood vessels to the body tissues. Okay, to the various body tissues. This is what? This is oxygen rich blood, and this is carbon dioxide. The blue one is the carbon dioxide rich blood. So it will be again purified where the carbon dioxide rich blood, it will again go to where, it will again go to the alveoli. Okay, it will go to the alveoli and further purification will take place in the alveoli of the lungs. Okay, so this is how, okay, this is the body tissue. The oxygenated blood is being transferred to the body tissue and the body is releasing the carbon dioxide, right? This carbon dioxide is taken with the help of the systemic artery, okay, and it has been sent again back to the alveoli, right? So see, systemic veins, okay, so carrying the deoxygenated blood, right? So see, this are the diagram which we have studied just now. So the partial pressure of alveoli. What is the partial pressure? Here, what will be the partial pressure of the alveoli? The partial pressure, that is PO2, is how much? 104 millimeter than mercury, right? And the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the alveoli will be 40 millimeter in mercury. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so here what will be the partial pressure of this that is the oxygenated blood? The oxygenated blood also has got partial pressure, right? That is 95 mmHg and carbon dioxide is 40 mmHg. So see how it is being sent, right? This is the way how the that is oxygenated and the deoxygenated blood that is being exchanged from our body. Okay, so see, it is being sent from here, it is being sent here, right? Then from here it is being sent to the body tissue, isn't it? So this is the process how the exchange of gases takes place. That is, the oxygenated blood is rich in what? Oxygenated blood is rich in oxygen, and carbon dioxide, that is deoxygenated blood, is rich in carbon dioxide, which needs to be exhaled, okay, which needs to be thrown outside from our body. Our body only needs what? Oxygen. So see, yes, this is what we have studied. Now, the solubility of the carbon dioxide, okay, the solubility of the carbon dioxide will be 20 to 25%. Okay, it can only 20 to 25%. It is higher than that of the O2. So the solubility of the carbon dioxide is what? Carbon dioxide is higher than O2, and the amount of carbon dioxide that can diffuse through the diffusion membrane per unit difference is partial pressure, and it is much higher as compared to O2. We will understand it, okay, in the next topic. So see, alveoli. When we are talking about the alveoli, so see the alveoli, how it looks like. It is a vascular bag-like structure, isn't it? Alveoli is a vascular bag-like structure. So it is a vascular bag-like structure. It is a vascular bag-like structure, right? Which is also balloon shaped, isn't it? So the alveoli is responsible. It is the primary site for the exchange of gases. So in the alveoli, there are various squamous tissue. Okay, the alveoli is made up of what? The alveoli, not the side. Okay, the alveoli is made up of various squamous tissues. Okay, squamous epithelial tissues. Sorry, squamous epithelial tissues. So these are what? These are also having the nucleus. The squamous epithelial tissues also have the nucleus. Okay, these also have nucleus, as you have studied, right, in the chapter, like where you have studied the animal tissue. You have seen that there are different types of animal tissues, right? So the alveoli also contain the epithelial tissue. Okay, so they are made up of squamous epithelial tissue, okay, which is one cell, okay, which is one cell. Now here you see that under the alveoli is lined with blood vessel, okay. Alveoli, it is lined with blood vessel. It is lined with what? It is lined with blood vessel. Okay, it is lined with blood vessel, and it has got three layers. Okay, it has got three parts, you can say. Okay, so see now, alveoli, here what is present? Here the RBC cells are present. Okay, these are the RBC cells. So this is what? This is the blood capillary. Okay, this is the blood capillary. Okay, this is the blood capillary. So blood capillary is also lined with what is also lined with the cells, right? They are also lined with the various tissues. Sorry, they are also lined with the various tissues, right? So they are also lined with various squamous epithelial tissues. Okay, so this is the plasma. This is the plasma, and these are what? These are the RBC cells. Okay, these are the RBC cells. Is that clear? These are the RBC cells. Okay, so see, this is how the alveoli looks like. Alveoli is lined with the blood capillary or the blood vessel. Okay, now it has got what? It has got the it has got the tissues. It is made up of squamous epithelial tissue. Okay, so see here, this space which you can see here, this space is known as basement substance. Okay, the yellow portion which I'm making, this is known as what? This space is known as the basement surface. It is connecting both the alveoli and the blood capillary. So this space is connecting the alveoli and the blood capillary. What is the name of this space? This space is called as what? It is called as basement surface. Okay. So this space is called as basement what? Basement substance. Okay, basement substance. Clear? This space is known as basement substance. Now see, the outer layer. Okay, the outer layer is made up of what? The outer layer, as you can see, it is made up of squamous epithelium of alveolar wall. Okay, so it is made up of squamous. It is made up of squamous epithelial tissue. Okay, it is made up of outer layer is made up of squamous epithelial tissue, and here through this the exchange of O2 and CO2 takes place, right, in the alveoli. The second one is the basement membrane. And what is this membrane? Okay, this which is present inside, right? This one is called as this membrane which is present here. Okay, it is known as what? It is known as the endothelium of blood capillary. Okay, it is known as the endothelium of blood capillary of blood capillary. All right, capillary. Okay, so see, these are the various layers which you will see in the alveoli. Alveoli is basically having three parts, you can see. Okay, so see, okay, the various layers of the alveoli are thin squamous epithelium of alveoli. It is made up of squamous epithelial tissues, right, which are not thick. It is having only one cell. Okay, single cell. The endothelium of the alveolar capillary is the second one, and third one is the basement substance. So which we have learned here, right? So see, these are the various parts or the layers of the alveoli. Okay. So the however, its total thickness is much less than a millimeter. Okay, the thickness of the alveoli is very, very much less than a millimeter. Therefore, all the factors in our body are favorable for diffusion of O2 from alveoli to tissues and that of CO2 from tissues to the alveoli. As the thickness is very, very less, okay, the thickness of the alveoli is very, very less. That is the reason how the diffusion takes place. Okay, the thickness is very, very less, because of which the diffusion of O2 and CO2 can take place properly in the alveoli, right? So this is what we have learned about the structure of alveoli. Now let us understand the transport of gases. Okay, the transport of gases. So how the transport of gases takes place? The transport of gases takes place with the help of blood. Okay, First thing is, the primary thing is alveoli, okay? The primary thing for the exchange of gases is alveoli, but blood is going to transfer the oxygen and carbon dioxide, okay? So in the alveoli, the exchange took place, okay? Now who is going to transfer it? Who is going to transport? It is the blood. We have blood. Blood is responsible for transferring food, for transferring nutrition in our body, right? Transferring the waste materials. It is also responsible for the gases exchange, transferring the various gases, right? That is carbon dioxide and oxygen. So, this is what, this is blood capillary. Okay, this is blood capillary. Here what is present? RBC cells are present. Isn't it? The oxygen, it is coming from the alveoli. The oxygen is coming from where? It is coming from the alveoli. Okay, it is coming from alveoli to the blood vessel. To the blood vessel. Now, so what happens is about 97% of O2 is transported by RBC in the blood. So what is the percentage of O2 transmitted? So RBC, this is what, these are RBC cells. Okay, you know that blood has got two components. What are the two components of the blood? What are the two components? Here, let me write. Blood has got two components. What are the two components? One is plasma, another is what? Another are the blood cells. Another are the blood cells, right? So blood has two components. One is plasma, another is blood cell. So this part is the plasma. Okay, these parts are the plasma. Okay, these are what? These are the plasma. So around how much is being transported by the RBC? What is the percentage of oxygen transported by RBC? That is 97%, right? 97%, right? RBC is responsible for transmitting 97% of oxygen, and 3% gets dissolved in the plasma. Okay, so we are talking about oxygen here, right? Clear? So oxygen, what happens? What is the percentage being transferred by RBC? RBC cell is responsible for transferring 97% of the oxygen, okay? And rest 3% is being dissolved in the plasma. But in case of carbon dioxide, this is opposite, okay? This is opposite in case of carbon dioxide, okay? Now, in case of carbon dioxide, what happens? In case of carbon dioxide, this is the alveoli, carbon dioxide, right? So, carbon dioxide, it is going out, right? So, this is what? This is the blood vessel. All right. Now here RBC cells are present. RBC cells are present. Right. So in case of this only, that is 7%. Okay. What is the percentage? 7% is being transported by the RBC cells. Rest 93% gets dissolved here in the plasma. All right. 93% gets dissolved in the plasma. So see here, nearly 20 to 25% of CO2 is transported by the RBCs, whereas 70% is carried as bicarbonate. We will understand this, okay, in the next topic. So about 7% of CO2 is carried by dissolved state through plasma, right? Through plasma. Yes. So see here, so 7% is being carried by the RBC and 93% by the dissolved in the plasma. Okay. Now let us understand what happens in the transport of oxygen. Okay. So what happens in this process? Now the alveoli, okay, which has done the exchange of gases. Now this oxygen needs to be transported. Okay. So see, this is the alveoli. This is the alveoli. Now this oxygen from the alveoli, it will be coming here. It will be coming into the blood vessel. It will be coming into the blood vessel. All right. Now, as you know that here in the blood vessel, RBC cells are present. RBC cells are present, right? So, along with the RBC cell, there are some pigments present. Okay, some molecules present. Okay, what are these? These are known as red color pigment, that is hemoglobin. So, in the RBC, some pigments are present. Okay, some protein molecules are present, which is known as hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is what? It is a red color pigment. It is a red color pigment. Okay, it is a red color pigment which provides red color to our blood. So because of this hemoglobin, our blood is red in color, right? So when oxygen, it comes and binds to the RBC cell. When oxygen, it comes and binds to the RBC cell, it is called as oxyhemoglobin. Clear? So what happens? Oxygen is binding with what? It is binding with hemoglobin. Okay, it is binding with hemoglobin. It is called as what? It is called as oxy hemo hemoglobin, right? Oxygen binding with the hemoglobin is called as oxyhemoglobin. Is that clear? Now let us understand the structure of this hemoglobin. Okay, let us understand the structure of the hemoglobin. So one hemoglobin can bind 4 oxygen molecules. How many? 4 oxygen molecules. So one hemoglobin. So see, this is the oxygen. This is the hemoglobin. Okay, this is the hemoglobin. So it has got hem group in it. Hemoglobin has got what? Hem group in it. It is made up of protein. Okay, so it has got what? It is made up of protein, and here various globins. It has got various chains. These are globin proteins. Okay, these are what? These are globin. Okay, these are globin. Okay, now the oxygen, what happens? So hemoglobin has the capacity, one hemoglobin has the capacity to bind 4 oxygen molecules. Okay, 4 oxygen molecules. So oxygen O2 will come from the alveoli, O2 will come and it will bind to the to the to the hemoglobin. Okay, it will come and bind where? To the hemoglobin. This binding of oxygen with the hemoglobin is called as oxyhemoglobin. Is that clear? Oxyhemoglobin. But this cells, okay, the body cells or the body tissue also requires what? Also requires oxygen, isn't it, for the cells? But this hemoglobin does not leave the oxygen, okay, does not leave the oxygen. As a result, what happens? The body tissue, it releases carbon dioxide. It releases what? It releases carbon dioxide. Now, this carbon dioxide has the capacity to go and bind with this globin chain. Okay, the carbon dioxide, it goes and binds to the globin chains. So as soon as the carbon dioxide binds to the globin chain, it will be releasing the oxygen, and oxygen will be released to the body tissue. Okay, when the carbon dioxide binds to the globin chain, the oxygen will be released. Okay, the oxygen will be released and this oxygen will reach to the body tissue. Is that clear? So this is how the oxygen is binding with the hemoglobin. Okay, now let us understand what is this oxygen dissociation curve. Okay, as you have seen here, the hemoglobin, it binds, that is the oxygen, it binds with the hemoglobin. So this curve is related to it only. It is related to this only. So see, every 100 ml of oxygenated blood, every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver 5 liter or 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues under normal physiological conditions. Under normal physiological conditions. Now, For drawing this graph, what requires is partial pressure of oxygen and the percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen. Now, what does it mean? This graph explains that as the partial pressure of oxygen increases, the percentage of saturation of the hemoglobin with oxygen also increases. Okay, whenever this is increasing, okay, this is not increased here, right? But here it is increasing, right? Whenever the partial pressure of O2 is increasing, okay, whenever the partial pressure is increasing, that is the saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen is also increasing, right? It is also increasing. So see, it is increasing, here also increasing. So this is forming a sigmoid curve. Okay, here this curve is a sigmoid curve. So it forms what? It forms a sigmoid curve. So what does it say is that oxygen dissociation curve, it says that when the partial when the partial pressure of when the partial pressure of oxygen when the partial pressure of oxygen increases the percentage saturation, the percentage saturation of hemoglobin of hemoglobin hemoglobin with oxygen with O2 also increases. Okay, when this is increasing, this is also increases, and it gives a sigmoid curve, right? So this is like this, right? Here what is written? Here it is written as percentage saturation of hemoglobin with O2, and here is the here it is the partial pressure of O2. So when this oxygen, that is partial pressure of oxygen, is increasing, the saturation also increases. The saturation also increases, and it gives a sigmoid, not that much. It gives what? It gives a sigmoid curve. Okay, it gives a sigmoid. It gives a, what is this happening? It gives a sigmoid curve. Okay, it gives a sigmoid curve. Okay, sigmoid curve. So see, this is the thing what you have studied here, right? So it gives a sigmoid curve. So next, see, hemoglobin binds with red pigment. So when hemoglobin is binding with the red color iron containing pigment present in the RBC. So hemoglobin contains what? Hemoglobin contains iron. Remember this here, that hemoglobin also contains iron, okay? Because of which the blood is red in color. Hemoglobin also contains what? Iron, okay? Hemoglobin is containing iron. So O2 bind with hemoglobin in a reversible manner to form oxyhemoglobin. Okay, when O2 is binding with hemoglobin, we call it as what? Oxyhemoglobin. And each hemoglobin molecule can carry 4 molecules of O2. How many molecules of O2? 4 molecules of O2. That is one hemoglobin. Okay, one hemoglobin molecule can carry 4 oxygen molecule. Okay, 4 oxygen molecules. Binding of oxygen with the hemoglobin is primarily related to the partial pressure of the O2. It is also related to the partial pressure of O2. So see, partial pressure of the carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration and the temperature are the other factors which can interfere with the binding. So what are the factors which can interfere? One is what? Partial pressure of the carbon dioxide. Then next is what? Hydrogen ions, and then is what? Temperature, right? temperature. These are the factors which can interfere with the binding of the O2. The binding of the O2 can be interfered because of these three factors, okay, because of these three factors. So a sigmoid curve is obtained when percentage saturation of the hemoglobin with O2 is plotted against PO2. So you have seen that sigmoid curve is obtained. This curve is called as the oxygen dissociation curve, and it is highly useful in studying the effect of factors like partial carbon dioxide, that hydrogen concentration, etc., on the binding of O2 with the hemoglobin. So this curve is very much essential to determine the partial carbon, that is partial pressure of the carbon dioxide. Next, transport of oxygen. So how the transport of oxygen takes place and what are the factors responsible for binding of the oxygen in the binding of the oxygen with the hemoglobin, okay, in the alveoli. So in the alveoli, what it requires in the alveoli, it requires high concentration, that is high oxygen, low pressure, low partial carbon dioxide, less hydrogen concentration, and low temperature. So these are the things which are necessary for the oxyhemoglobin, for the formation of oxyhemoglobin. So what are the things necessary in the alveoli? That is high what? High partial pressure of oxygen is necessary. Then what happens? Low partial carbon dioxide is necessary. Then lesser hydrogen concentration and the lower temperature is necessary. Okay, and in the tissue, what is necessary for formation of the oxyhemoglobin? That is low low partial pressure of oxygen, high partial pressure of carbon dioxide, high hydrogen concentration, and high temperature. And high temperature necessary for formation of what? For the formation of oxyhemoglobin. So these are the important factors which are necessary in the tissues and the alveoli for formation of the oxyhemoglobin, right? Next, let us move into the transport of the carbon dioxide. So as we have seen now how the oxygen is being transported. Now let us learn how the carbon dioxide is being transported. Yes. So see here, this is the this is the blood vessel. This is the blood capillary. Okay. Here RBC cells are present. Isn't it? RBC cells are present. Now, that is 20 to 25% of the RBC will, 20 to 25%, 20 to 25% will bind with the hemoglobin, and form what? And form carboxyhemoglobin, right? And form carboxyhemoglobin, okay? So, yes, carbinohemoglobin, sorry. It will form what? Carbino, carbino, carbinohemoglobin. So, only 20 to 25% of what? 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide, 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide will bind with what? Will bind with hemoglobin, okay? And will form carbinohemoglobin. So, what is this carbinohemoglobin? So, carbon dioxide binding with hemoglobin is called as carbinohemoglobin, okay? So, carbon dioxide plus hemoglobin, hemoglobin is called as carbinohemoglobin. So, when carbon dioxide binds with hemoglobin, we call it as carbinohemoglobin, right? So, here, what happens? Here, the hemoglobin molecules are present or not. So, it will be having this globin chains, right? So, it has this globin chains. So, where does the carbon dioxide which is being released from the tissue. The carbon dioxide is being released from where? It is being released from the tissues. It will go and come and it will bind with the globin of the hemoglobin. Okay. So this carbon dioxide, it binds with the globin chain of the hemoglobin molecule. So where does the carbon dioxide binds? The carbon dioxide, it binds to what? It binds to the globin. It binds to the globin chain of of hemoglobin. Okay, of hemoglobin, right? So yes, how, what is the percentage? It is only 20 to 25%. It is only 20 to 25% binding with what? Binding with the globin of the hemoglobin. Okay, so hemoglobin. Okay, yes, HAE, for example. Okay, hemoglobin. It is binding with hemoglobin. Along with that, here oxygen is also present, right? Here in the hemoglobin, the oxygen is also present. The carbon dioxide is coming and binding here to the globin, right? It is binding here to the globin. But 70% is still remaining, right? So here only 20 to 25% is binding with the globin of the hemoglobin. It binds with hemoglobin. Only 20 to 20% is binding with what? It is binding with hemoglobin, right? Hemoglobin. Now, what about the 70%? 70% it is dissolved in the in the water. Okay, 70% is dissolved in the water. So 70% it is dissolved in the plasma. Sorry, 70% is here in the plasma. Okay, 70% is here in the plasma. Now, in the plasma, the water is there, right? It is going to bind with water. So here, okay, here, let me make this little bit. Yes. So here it is going to bind with water. So carbon dioxide now dissolved in the plasma. So 70% of carbon dioxide which is dissolved in the plasma, it is going to bind with the water which is present, okay, with the help of one enzyme. And this is a reversible reaction with the help of one enzyme that is known as carbonic anhydrase. Okay, carbonic anhydrase. What is the name of this enzyme? That is carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Okay, carbonic anhydrase enzyme. With the help of this carbonic anhydrase enzyme, enzymatic reaction takes place which leads to the formation of product that is carbonic acid H2CO3. H2CO3. So carbon dioxide binds with water and forms carbonic acid. Okay. Now further this carbonic acid splits. Okay. This carbonic acid further splits into hydrogen ions and bicarbonate. Okay. So HCO, yes, H, it further splits into what? HCO3 minus. Okay. It further splits into hydrogen ion and the bicarbonate. Okay. So this carbonic anhydride, that is the carbonic acid which is being formed, it further splits into hydrogen ion and bicarbonate. Now this hydrogen ion will also come and bind here, will also come and bind with the hemoglobin. Okay, this will come and bind with the hemoglobin. So what happens when the carbon dioxide and the hydrogen ion is binding to the hemoglobin? This oxygen will be released. This oxygen will be released and this oxygen will come and go to where? It will go to the tissue. When carbon dioxide and the hydrogen ions are coming and binding with the hemoglobin here, this oxygen molecules which are attached here, it will be released. Okay, it will be released. This O2 will come and go where? It will go to the body tissues. Okay, the body tissue will now receive what? Will now receive oxygen. So this is how the transportation of the carbon dioxide is taking place in the body. So now let's see, carbon dioxide is carried by hemoglobin as carbinohemoglobin. Means when carbon dioxide is binding with hemoglobin, that is known as carbinohemoglobin, which is about 20 to 25%, right? So as you have seen, it is only 20 to 25% binding with the hemoglobin, right? And it is known as what? It is known as carbinohemoglobin. And this binding is related to the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So when partial pressure is a major factor which could affect this binding, partial pressure of oxygen. Here the partial pressure of oxygen could affect the binding of what? Could affect the binding of the carbon dioxide. So when the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high and partial pressure of oxygen is low, as in the tissue, more binding will take place. What happens here? The partial pressure of carbon dioxide should be high and the partial pressure of the oxygen will be low. Okay, then more binding will take place, more carbon dioxide will bind. Okay, more carbon dioxide will bind. Is that clear? Is that clear? So the partial pressure of the oxygen should be low and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide should be high. Then only more binding of carbon dioxide can take place with the hemoglobin. Whereas when the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low and the partial pressure of oxygen is high, okay, as in the alveoli, then the dissolution of the carbon dioxide from carbinohemoglobin takes place. That is, carbon dioxide which is bound to the hemoglobin from the tissue is delivered at the alveoli. Now, what happens here when the partial pressure of oxygen is high and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low? In that case, what happens? In that case, the oxygen can be bind, so that the oxygen will bind. That is, binding of O2 will take place in the alveoli. Okay, that is, delivery of O2 will take place. Binding of O2 will take place in the alveoli. So RBC contain a very high concentration of an enzyme called carbonic anhydrase. As you have seen that here, with the help of this carbonic anhydrase enzyme, so it is being converted into what? It is being converted into carbonic acid. So further, the carbonic acid release what? Hydrogen ions and bicarbonate during the transportation of what? During the transportation of carbon dioxide. So see, what happens? This is the enzyme. This is what? This is the enzyme. Carbonic anhydrase is the enzyme, remember. So minute quantities of the same is present in the plasma too. So at the tissue site where partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high due to the catabolism, carbon dioxide diffuses into blood and forms what it forms? What it forms? Bicarbonate and hydrogen ions. So it leads to the formation of bicarbonate, bicarbonate and hydrogen ion and hydrogen ion, right? Yes. Next, at the alveolar side, when partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low and the reaction proceeds in the opposite direction, then leads to the formation of carbon dioxide and water. So what happens? So in the alveoli, the partial pressure of what? The partial pressure of the carbon dioxide, when it is low, what it will do? It will lead to the formation of what? It will lead to the formation of carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so this is how the carbon dioxide is being transported with the help of blood, right? So next, thus CO2 trapped as bicarbonate at the tissue level and transported to the alveoli is released out as CO2. Okay, so this is how the carbon dioxide is being transported back to the alveoli and it is being released. Okay, so see here what happens. There is a alveoli, right? There is a alveoli also. This is alveoli, right? So here the carbon dioxide is now, it is being released to the alveoli. It is being reached to the alveoli and here it will be moving outside from the alveoli. So this is how the transportation of carbon dioxide takes place. So every 100 ml of deoxygenated blood can deliver approximately 4 ml of carbon dioxide to the alveoli. So what happens? 100 ml of what? Of deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood. How much amount of carbon dioxide it can deliver? It can deliver almost 4 ml of carbon dioxide. 4 ml of carbon dioxide to whom? To the alveoli. Okay, to the alveoli. So almost 100 ml of deoxygenated blood can deliver 4 ml of carbon dioxide to whom? To the alveoli. Is that clear? This is how the transportation of oxygen and transportation of carbon dioxide is taking place inside the alveoli and the blood. Okay. Now, regulation of respiration. Now, you know that in our body, we have nerves, right? Nerves are responsible for the signals to our body. Now, in our brain, what happens in our brain? This is the brain, let's say. This is the forebrain, right? So, brain has got various parts, right? Brain has got various parts. So what are the various parts of brain? What are the various parts of brain? The various parts of brain are like midbrain, hindbrain. Sorry, first will come forebrain. Okay, first is the forebrain. First is the forebrain, then is the midbrain, right? Then is the hindbrain. Isn't it? These are the three types. Sorry, these are the three, yes, three parts of the brain. Now, in the hindbrain, there is a region which is known as medulla and pons. Okay, so in the hindbrain, what is present? Medulla. Okay, so in the hindbrain, so in the hindbrain, the medulla, the pons, the cerebellum. Okay, cerebellum is also present. So this medulla and pons are basically responsible for regulating the respiration. They are also known as the respiratory center of the brain. So they are also known as the respiratory center. Respiratory center. So signals are being sent by the nerves. The nerves are sending the signals to the medulla and the pons of our brain, and because of which we are able to inspire. Okay, so this pons and medulla are responsible for the process of inspiration in our body. Okay, so human beings have a significant ability to maintain and moderate the respiratory rhythm to suit the demands of the body tissue. This is being done by whom? That is the nerves, the neural tissue, right, which is responsible for the control and coordination in our body. That is the neural system, right? And specialized center present in the medulla region. So in the medulla region of the brain, there is a specialized center which is called as the respiratory rhythm center. Okay, so what is the region, name of the region in the medulla? That is the respiratory rhythm center, which is responsible for the regulation of our respiration. Okay, so another is what? Another is the pons. Okay, which I have said that another is the pons of the brain, which is called the pneumotaxic center. Okay, so it is also called as what? Pneumotaxic center. Remember the name? It is also called as pneumotaxic center, which is also responsible for the respiratory functions. Neural signal from this center can reduce the duration of inspiration and thereby alter the respiratory rate. So if there is any problem with the nerves, okay, with our nerves, it can affect our respiration process, okay, because the nerves in our body are responsible for sending the signals. In our brain, we have the motor nerves, okay. Motor nerve is responsible for sending the signals from our brain to all the parts of our body, okay. So if the motor nerve is not functioning properly, then it will be affecting the hands, the movement of legs, the breathing, everything will be affected. Okay, it is being controlled by the nerves, that is the neural system. system. And remember, here we have learned about the medulla. In the medulla, there is a region which is known as respiratory rhythmic center, and also in the pons, there is a region which is also known as the pneumotaxic center. These are the two centers which are responsible for regulation of the respiration in case of human beings. So as you can see, this is the pond. Yeah, here you can see this structure, right? This is the pons. Okay, this is the pond, and this structure is the medulla, which is connected with our spinal cord. Okay, this medulla is connected with our spinal cord, right? So at the back side of our head, the back side, you will see that the last region is the region of the medulla, okay, which is connected to our spinal cord. Okay, yes. And the last topic of this chapter is the respiratory disorders. Okay, respiratory disorders. Now, what do I mean by this respiratory disorders? Means it is affecting the lungs. So the disorders which are affecting the lungs, because of which a person cannot breathe properly. So one is asthma. Okay, so one is asthma. It is what? It is difficulty in breathing, causing wheezing due to inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles. So as you know that in the lungs there are bronchi. Okay, bronchi and bronchioles are the endings, isn't it? So it cause what? It cause inflammation of this bronchi. It cause inflammation of this bronchi and the bronchioles. These are what? These are the bronchioles. The endings are the bronchioles. Because of what? Because of this inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles, a person cannot breathe properly. And what is this emphysema? Emphysema is a chronic disorder which affects your which affects the alveoli walls. These are the alveoli. Okay, it is going to affect the walls of the alveoli. It damages the walls of alveoli. Okay, damages the walls of the alveoli, and it decreases the capacity to breathe. One of the major causes is your cigarette smoking. Those who are smokers, in that case, they are going to destroy their alveoli. Okay, so it will destroy the cells of the alveoli. That is called as emphysema. And another one is the occupational respiratory disorders. Now, what do you mean by this occupation? Occupation means there are different persons who are working in the industries. Okay, they will face the dust particles. They will it will that is a cement, right? It will go into the lungs, right? Those who are working in the industries, they will be inhaling the poisonous smoke, isn't it? So all these are going to affect the lungs. Okay, that is, it depends on the work where a person is working, occupational. So see, some of the industries, especially those involved in the grinding or stone breaking. Okay, grinding, or where the industries, they are involved in breaking the stones. Okay, so much dust will be removed, right? So much dust will be, sorry, released. Okay, so the dust will be inhaled by that person, right? And it will go and accumulate in the lungs, right? So yes, so this is one of the reason. Another is long exposure can give rise to inflammation leading to fibrosis. Okay, thus causing serious lung damage. Workers such as in industries should wear the protective marks. Should wear the protective mask. So those who are working in the cement industry also, the dust particles are going to affect them. Okay, they should wear what? Protective gears or protective marks. So must. So this is all about what you have learned in your chapter number 17. So in chapter number 17, you have learned what? You have learned about the respiratory system in the human being, and also you have learn the mechanism of breathing, right? And today's class, what we have discussed in today's class, we have discussed about the transportation of oxygen, transportation of carbon dioxide in the blood, right? How the exchange of gases it is taking place. So I hope you have understood what is discussed in today's session. So if you like this video, do like it and also share it with your friends so that it will be beneficial to them. So in our next class, in my next class, I'll be starting with a new chapter, that is chapter number 18. So till then, take care and bye bye.